Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Kenny Low, and I'm a part-time PhD student at Macquarie University, but I'm a full-time business consultant for a multi-chain store in Hong Kong and Greater China. And today I'm going to share with you my study, which bag, obviously talking about handbag, and predicting consumer preference for luxury product with a discrete choice experiment. So I understand this is the last session, and I am going to have lots of number. So please have patience with me and a lot of relationship as well. So yeah, and I will try to explain clearly as I can. Okay. In this coming 20 minutes, I will talk about my research background, methodology, results, and implications. And when we talk about conspicuous consumption or luxury consumer behavior, as an academic, there's a lot of different literature in this area or in various aspects, such as Veblen effect, consumption symbolism, luxury branding, consumer orientation and values. And I think this is very familiar for all of you, so I will not go into details. And last but not least is the cultural influence on consumption. And that's why there's some literature in this particular area suggests that, it's very small, but I hope you see it. Like other consumers from collective culture, they're said to be Chinese is more conscious for their dressing and appearance. That's why we think and suggest Chinese luxury consumers are quite different from the West, which you previously see in the last slide. There most of the literature are written or conduct their research in the Western country. So, but at the same time, some literature suggests that they are different. If anyone in this room understand Mandarin? No? Oh yes, some of them. Yeah. If you can understand 先进来意后惊人, which saying, what we're saying for Chinese terms, we respect your clothing first before I respect you as a person. So you will see how important apparel for Chinese. And even though it's quite different from the West, we are seeing some research has been done for this market, but not many. Those research are based on student samples, some of them. Some of them are based on the Chinese who live in outside China. And that's why we'll see, even though there are, I would say, there's a lot of literature, but not really covering the Chinese consumer behavior in the luxury market. But not only talk about luxury market, when we all sit here today, or I myself, talking about luxury fashion. So I understand that most of you understand fashion much more than me do, but let me brag about fashion history. For Chinese, talk about luxury fashion over 100 years ago, we are talking about embodied silk dress in Qing Dynasty. And thank you, Downton Abbey. We all understand a little bit more about the people who in upper class ladies dressed over 100 years ago in the Western countries. You will see a big difference in these two pictures. And about 70 to 90 years ago, when the fashion market evolved, you'll see Chinese, a lot of people understand we wear 旗袍 or 长衫. But in the Western or European market, many of the luxury houses start developing, such as you see the picture Christian Dior, and even Celine Da Vinci is also born in this period of time. And moving a little bit forward, well, only about 50 years ago, when China, everybody, no matter you're a man or woman, you dress the same. No matter you're upper class or lower class, you dress the same. But at the same time, this picture from Milan, you will see colorful fashion still developing in the Western countries. But nowadays, I should pick out every picture. It seems like everybody admires the similar profile of brands around the world. So what happened? why people doing this, what happened, or any different in terms of motivations. So we think there's a area we can look into it. And we also have a reason to look into the Chinese market is because of its size. I would not repeat saying in the many sections I think you already talked about, China market is big. And even though nowadays have a little bit of crackdown of the market, but it's still Chinese, some of the newspapers say Chinese as an ethnic group is the biggest purchaser of the luxury fashion product in the world. Provide these three areas, Chinese luxury market is big, and also many studies suggesting Chinese consumer different from Western country, and also many of studies are focused on the Western world. That's why we believe there's a knowledge gap we can address. So these are my objective to investigate the motivation and buying behavior of Chinese luxury fashion consumers, and to investigate how consumers' preference for subtle or prominent logo, and also consider the implication for Freery for the industry and also for Freery. So what I have done is using a quantitative approach, discrete choice experiment. In each of the choice, we have 3 variables. Okay, numbers coming up. 3 variables and 2 variables talking about brand and price. We have 4 levels. And local prominence, we have 2 levels, which give me a 4x2x2 orthogonal design, which means it generates 32 choices. Because we do not believe participants can answer all of the 32 choices in one survey, that's why we divide these 32 choices into 4 questionnaires. Each questionnaire have 8 different choices and 4 same choices. And the data was collected by Nielsen China in Shanghai in Q4 2016, and the sample size is about 304, which means I've collected over 3,600 choices, and it was an online survey. And for those who are not familiar with the scenario or choice scenario, I will give you an example. But as if you remember from my topic, which bag? So the scenario itself is talking about choose a handbag among those choices. But why handbag? And I will also show you, I have 4 brands. Why these 4 brands? Is because I had a previous qualitative study which collecting information from 32 repeat buyers of luxury fashion products. And handbag is the most often purchased product by them. And also these 4 brands is the most frequently mentioned brands from these actual buyers. And I also need to consider this brand have also male products and female products as well. Okay, so here is one of the examples that they will see from their survey. They will see the brand, Hermès, Bottega, Louis Vuitton, and Coach, and different price point. And the logo is easily recognizable or not recognizable. And as you may understand, like even though I screen out all those participants who has less than 10,000 RMB monthly income, but it's still not many people can afford a luxury handbag in China. That's why before the survey, I gave them a scenario which saying that they will have a windfall bonus, year-end bonus for them. This scenario is quite common in the Chinese workforce, and they can easily understand what is a year-end bonus. But in this scenario, I give them the amount is, they are not quite sure, but between $40,000 to $80,000. And her or his boss will buy a luxury handbag for them outside China in Europe, which means they will get the best price for these handbags. So this is how have a background for them to choose for these 4 handbags. And this is the combination for my choice scenario. And you may ask why I have these kind of prices. It may not really realistic, but I'm trying to find a more like for experimental purpose, and also I exclude all those very expensive products like the diamond trimmed product, and also exclude those very cheap products like the canvas product in order to have a more closely, more real realistic price range. Besides those 12 choice scenario, I also ask them, the participant need to answer whether their friends have those brands of handbag and whether their friends like those brands. I also use two scale measure their status sensitivity and also susceptibility to peer influence. So here is my sample characteristics. You will find we have control variable for the location, so hopefully it will be representative for all those major tier 1 cities. And I've also control variable for the male and female participants. After collect the data, we use the SPSS multinomial logistic regression and run reference brand as the SLV. And here we come, the results. And I hope this is not the reason my paper is get accepted. It's because LV is the most preferred brand among the participants.
Thank you.
But sorry, I later on have some sad news for you though.
Listen to our client. Number one priority that we today is listening to the client.
And I'm also your client as well. But anyway, Louis Vuitton is preferred by 29.2%, almost to close to 30% of from the participants. And then for Coach, 27.7%, Amex, 25.2%, and Bottega, later on I'll refer as BV, for about 18% from the participants. And I think from this research, the following finding it most amazed me is because for the logo preference, easy recognizable logo account for the majority, 54.3%. But this is only a small majority. While lots of industrial reports or magazines saying that Chinese love big logo, it seems like yes, but they also prefer subtle logo by 45.7%, which is quite a big majority as well. And when we talk about the price preference, it also very interesting. The low price, which is quite unsurprisingly, 36.4% people prefer the low price product. But the second most preferred is 30.5%. Rather, the medium price product is not that popular among those participants. Okay, let's make you even horrified. So many numbers. So don't worry, I will go through it one by one. First of all, when we talk about the choice scenario, we have three major variables. The first of all is the prominent logos. So for logo prominence, each brand was more likely to be chosen relative to LV if their logo was more easily recognizable. What does it mean to you? In this model, which means, first of all, the significance is whether logo prominence is significant in predicting the choice of that particular brand. And then we'll see the beta, whether it works negatively or positively for this variable. So in this sense, you will see for Amex, if their logo become bigger, it's more likely for the consumer to choose Amex. And which very consistent. We can find it even for BV, quite a subtle brand, and same finding for Coach as well. And very interestingly, this logo prominency is, I would say, interact with each other for the Amex, LV, BV, and LV, and Coach and LV. In other words, which means if LV logo going more prominent, the probability of choosing Amex, this brand, going negative. So in other words, if LV logo is going more prominent, the probability of choosing both Amex, BV, and Coach will go down. So in this case, it seems like if you have a bigger logo, not bigger, more prominent. Prominent doesn't mean bigger, but prominent logo, which easily recognizable by the other people, the choice of choosing the other competitor brand will go down. But this doesn't mean, as I said, it doesn't mean the size, but probably prominence will be like the awareness of that particular thing, that particular logo would be more relevant. But when we talk about prominence, we also talk about, but 45.7% is also preferred by subtle logo. So what predict a subtle logo? We use backward elimination. Don't worry what is it at this moment. But with backward elimination, we have find that participants with lower level of status sensitivity are more likely to choose a product with subtle logo, which quite easily understandable or predictable. And also, marginally, with high income, it seems like high income group are more likely to choose a product with a subtle logo. But these two variables of like the R square is very, very low. So it seems like maybe there's some other variable which may not include in this model explain the choice of subtle logo. So besides logo, we also work with price. So for the effect of price, it seems like consistent with a normal price and demand curve. If Amex product price go up, the probability of buying Amex go down. So it seems like quite a normal, I would say, demand and supply curve. But as you see, one more point is, as the price of LV increase the price, the probability of choosing both Amex and Coach will go down. But most interesting, you will see for BV, the significance of price is not significant. It seems like the price is less elastic in the brand of BV. And it's also the preference of Coach not change with the price of Coach. But this I need to warn because as you remember my example, the choice I gave the participant don't have a choice of not buying. So the people who don't want a luxury handbag anyway, probably will choose Coach because as the cheapest way to get out of this choice scenario. So for friend rating, which is very much consistent as you similarly as you will see the result from the logo prominent as well, you will find relationship between Amex and LV, BV, LV, Coach, and LV. That's why each brand and therefore more likely to be chosen relative to LV if friend rating of that brand increase. Which means if my friend have a higher rating of LV, the probability of buying all this brand will go down. So it's very easily to understand, and vice versa as well. So this is not surprise to you anyway, because in China, friend rating or friend comment for particular brand is highly valued. But the effect of brand's ownership is quite different from friend rating. Why I'm saying that, you will see it's significant for Amex. If my friend have an Amex, then it will give me positive influence, increase my probability of buying an Amex. It is very obviously. But my friend having a LV will not cause any difference of buying an Amex. But a friend, if having a BV, will increase both the probability of a friend buying BV and also Amex. So I cannot say it's conclusive in this result, but we're saying that it seems like if I see a friend having a BV and Amex, it probably arouses me to buy similar lower profile or higher prestige brands. A friend having Coach did not increase the preference for Coach. This is also very interesting because it seems like every Chinese rush for a Coach. But a friend having Coach is not influence them to really want to buy a Coach. And having said, talk about status sensitivity, for Amex, the highest price brand, when status sensitivity increase, which means they're more sensitive to his or their status needs or seeking, then they will have the more preference for the Amex, but not apply to BV. And if you're sensitive, and if you're seeking for status sensitive is increased, you will be less likely to buy Coach. And also very interesting to find out for luxury goods, only Coach is significant related to income, but for Amex and BV, there's not significant relationship find related to the income. So for discussion for implication, I would say despite this extensive literature talking about conspicuous consumption and many industry reports saying that Chinese love big logo or prominent logo, it seems like it's not totally true because 45% of participants prefer a more subtle logo. And the choice scenario can identify some brands such as BV is insensitive to price. But I would say price is a very complicated structure in this context. Because even though BV is less sensitive, but you will see, if you remember, higher price is the second most picked product for this category, for these four brands. In other words, which means Chinese are prepared to pay if the price, if the brand is they wanted. From my other study, most of the participants already have a brand in mind before they want to buy a product, which means when they want to buy, they like LV, for example, when they want to buy a wallet, they will not shop around. They will just go to LV and choose between those wallets and then make the decision. And having a different brands from friends did not seem important. I think this can be understandable, but this is solid. Not solid, but have data to prove it. Like having Amex and BV will increase the probability of buying those brands. And within this experimental scenario range, income did not change the brand preference. And for implication for practice, I don't think it will be very necessary for me to say because all those brands in here have both prominent and subtle logo. But I would emphasize subtle logo product range is kind of like a must nowadays for Chinese consumers. While there are different segments, many Chinese consumers appear to prepared to pay for the price that they desire that we are out. And the results show that the pricing of luxury is very complex, and some brand is not as sensitive or elasticity compared to other brands. And area for future research, I believe it will be, I probably skip that because of time limit, but I would say this is a artificial windfall income situation that they may not predict a real purchase. And also the market is rapidly evolving. And I would think two variables, which is very interesting for me to continue to look into or investigate, which is the long-lasting design. Because all the fashion house is saying that fashion is changing every season. But nowadays, China is saying that I invest in my conspicuous consumption. So they hope to buy something long-lasting. So how important is this element? And also the rapidly increase in price, it seems like also attracting for the Chinese because they invest. So if you rapidly increase your price, it seems like I buy a stock in low price. So this kind of price strategy, it probably is an emerging variables for the Chinese market. Okay, thank you.